you can actually put 5 gallon a minute tips in it, and it'll only put out 5 gallons a minute because it's going to be a smaller tip. So the other 3 gallons a minute will actually bypass back to your tank. So you could do that, and that helps in garages a lot. So if you say you have 2 8 gallon a minute machines, and you got one guy over here that's surface cleaning and rinsing, doing his own thing, and you got one guy that's cutting in or just getting gum, he can put a 4 gallon a minute tip in there and not use, because if you're getting gum, you don't have to have 8 gallon a minute. If you're low on water, if you have minimal water there, you can do that to minimize your usage. And when you do that, if you have hot water, it's actually going to make your water get hotter because it's going to slow it down going through there and recycle. So that's the pros of that. The other one is a flow actuated unloader. Those are more sensitive. Those you cannot tip down. It just won't work. They're finicky as far as that goes.
Those are the screw type tips.
Yeah, you usually see like the black. Well, no, the K7, K1. You'll hear people talk about those. I'll tell you the pros, but that's kind of the negative. You can't tip them down. If you do, it's going to cause issues. 2, you can, if you ever want to Siamese 2 machines together, which people talk about, if you want to put 2 4s together, you can't do that with the flow actuated unloaders. It has to be these. So if you tie them 2 together, you want them to be same PSI. The gallons per minute can be different. You tie a 5 with an 8 and have 13. So a lot of people do that. When they first get into, say, garages, things like that, and they need more flow, they'll tie 2 together before they buy a larger machine. And on the pros of the flow actuated is when you close your ball valve, it actually releases all the pressure. The hose will go limp, so it's easier on your equipment. And then also when you go back and you pull the trigger, it actually gradually gives you pressure. It's not the immediate jerk like the pressure one. So a lot of people like that. It's easier on the equipment, it's easier on you. It just does have those limitations of not being able to tip it down and not be able to tie 2 machines.
Are those unloaders pretty easy to swap?
Oh yeah, they're all very
You
easy.
just got one and you K7 or whatever, and then you want to get Siamese, then you can swap it out.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
The switch is running off the battery, right? That's what the battery's for?
Yep. For the ignition, for the burner. I don't know how much you'll be able to see while we're here. So I've got this as a winterizing tank. So obviously freezing temperatures, you don't want water in your pump because it'll freeze, expand, and destroy your pump. So what you can do is at the inlet of your water coming in, you have a valve on the tank, and you turn that water off. You've got a T here running over to this tank. You can put antifreeze, windshield washer fluid. Those are the 2 that most people use because they won't freeze. So when you close off the tank to your water, then you open up your valve for this, and your machine will suck this antifreeze, windshield washer fluid through the pump. One thing some people don't do, one, when you do that, you don't need to run it through all your hose. That's going to be a very expensive way to do it. I always disconnect my jumper hose right here, and then what you do, I'll put a ball valve on the end of this, so you're only running it through 8 feet of hose, unless you have a burner. That's another story I'll talk about. Let's see where was that. When you turn it on, when you pull that antifreeze in there, have a ball valve on the end. As soon as you start seeing that coming through, close your ball valve, shut the machine off. If you don't close that ball valve, it's not going to get that fluid all the way in, through your unloader. And then by doing so, it also gives you a quick burst through your bypass line back to your tank. It's okay to get a few drops of antifreeze in there. It's not going to hurt anything. But if you don't do it, this line will freeze, and the next morning you come out and you try to use it. All this may be fine, but your discharge isn't. And then you close your ball valve, it's going to blow the hose. You'll end up with a ruptured hose most likely. But for the hose, much easier, better way to winterize it is with air. It can be just a little pancake, compressor for $90. When we disconnect it here, you've got from the outside of the reel all the way through your hose. So we've got these fittings here. I've got it set up for a few different things. I've got this, so your air's coming in here. I'll put it over here, going into the reel, and I'll open this up slowly, and it'll push all the water out of the hose. Leave it running for a good 5-10 minutes.
You'll get a big burst, and then it'll just start spitting for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got that, but then I also have a quick connect, and this end has garden hose on it. So if your garden hose on the reel, I'll disconnect, or I'll connect it here, and then hook the air up. It's going to blow all the water in there back into your tank. And then at that point, you want to drain your tank, because all the ball valves, everything connected on the bottom of your tank, it will freeze, they will crack, they will burst. Even if you try your hardest, sometimes they still will.
Well, I always start with the supply. Blow that water out, then you work your way kind of through the cycle of it, because that way, no sense in draining that, and then you shoot more water into it.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Put it through there and then drain it.
And then, so you have this set up basically to use hot water all the time. But for that hot link, you could also just run it separately on a jumper to just keep, to not have that even running water through it. Right? Because like,
Oh, this?
yeah.
Yeah, you can either, you can just blow these out. I don't recommend it because I've heard stories, seen things where they don't get blown out enough and they freeze, and a coil is very, very expensive.
I mean, for like ones that don't use hot water on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Like we've got a hot link that just sits there. It's got 2 jumper hoses. So for this, if somebody was always just using cold, you can just run them directly to it.
Bypass the burner and everything. But yeah, I would definitely, I'll leave it for the antifreeze. I'll run it all the way through here. Through burners, it may take 5 gallons or so. But what you can do, which brings me to a good point.
Discharge it back in.
When you get done, when you want to start up the next morning, then connect all your hoses, turn your machine on. You'll have it hooked back up to water. You're gonna have to fill your water tank in the morning. When it starts coming through, have your hose go right back into your bucket over there and let it run until you see that color change. That's another reason I like using the pink, like what is it, RV antifreeze. So for the color, and recycle it, reuse it, and it'll last you a long time. So it's not an expensive thing. Anything else, Rob?
And it's safe to have that in the burner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to flush it right back out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just sitting, no, it doesn't hurt.
Well, you'd be better off with. I mean, if it's going to sit for a while, you're going to be better off with RV antifreeze in it and then just water, anyways.
Yeah.
So.
And then another thing you can do if you're going to have it sit for a long time and you're really worried about it, and you say you've been recycling that antifreeze and you feel like there's water in there and you're just unsure, what I've done sometimes when it's going to sit for a long time, after I do the antifreeze through everything, then I'll go ahead while I'm right there and blow all that back out into the tank.
Fresh.
So, there was antifreeze in there, shouldn't freeze, but if you blow it out, then you're really not going to freeze.
Yeah.
So that's an extra step, extra precaution if you're really worried.